Hello, world. My name is Travis Schumacher, and right now I want to share with you an experience that I had through meditation, and it happened about 5.5, maybe 6 years ago, and it was my first out of body experience. I've actually been wanting to share this story for all this time, and I've just never felt like I was in the right place to share it with everyone. Just kind of, I had self insecurities and worried about like the backlash and like what people are going to say. But I'm at a place with myself that I'm so comfortable, and I know who I am, and I know what I've been through, and I know what I've experienced, that I've been sharing the story more than I've ever shared it in my entire life throughout my trip in Thailand. And I am in Thailand right now, and I'm deep in a canyon in the middle of nowhere in Pai. And there's nobody anywhere, which is good because I always feel a little self-conscious about people who are hearing me and listening to me and possibly judging me, but that doesn't even matter. So yeah, my story starts like 5.5 years ago. And actually it was more like 6 years ago, and I was in a really, really, really dark place. I was in a really unhealthy lifestyle, unhealthy relationships, unhealthy everything. It was just a really, really dark place. And I soon ended up coming out of it. And when I came out, I felt like I had been reborn. Like I felt like I was alive again because I had been so close for so long. And it just took me on this path of self-reflection and self-discovery and looking within myself and going through myself and just trying to understand myself and figure out the meaning to life, the meaning to everything, because I kind of at the same time felt really lost. Like I was like, what is the meaning to life? You know, is there a God? Is there anything more than this experience that we have here in this plane? And I had learned about like enlightenment, which, I mean, there's so many almost every single spiritual teacher in every single religion talks about the fact that God is within you in the temple of your consciousness. So many people are looking for God outside of themselves. Like they think that God is up in the sky dictating people's lives, like it's like a human being like us. But God doesn't have a solid body in my eyes, in my truth. God is everything. And there's so many people that are understanding that more and more. And I mean, the ancient civilizations have known this since the beginning of time. And we're all part of this giant system that connects everybody and everything, like a machine that goes down and up. There's no right, there's no wrong. There's only experience and how you come out after your experience. If you can learn from your lessons, then you can progress your consciousness and become the best version of yourself that you can be. But if you don't progress through those experiences, then you'll keep repeating the same experiences over and over again and falling over and over again. People are like, oh, why does this always happen to me? Oh, woe is me, 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 me. And it's like, that's your mindset. And you have to change that mindset. And you have to know that what you are putting out there is what you're pulling back to you. And people call it the law of attraction, but it's so real. It's not even funny. The things that are brought to you are based on where you're at, and in your own consciousness. But yeah, so back to the story. I had been discovering about enlightenment. I had been doing a whole bunch of research on like out of body experiences, near death experiences, and I wanted to see it for myself. And it's the whole thing about it is ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find. I spent 2 to 8 hours every single day constantly meditating. Well, not all at one time, but I would meditate for 30 minutes and then I'd get up and I'd go, and then I'd come back and I'd meditate for an hour, and then I'd get up and I'd go. And each meditation session, I was just evaluating what was happening within me. And I didn't really learn how to meditate from anybody, but I was just doing what felt right within myself. Just trial and error, experimentation, trying different breathing techniques. And the first few months, it was just constant letting go meditation, where thoughts would come to my mind and I would process those thoughts as they would come. I wouldn't just dismiss them, but I'd be like, okay, why did this thought come into my mind? What does it do for me right now? It does nothing. And so I would just let it go. like things that would come up about the past. I'm like, how does that benefit me in this present moment? And it's like, okay, yeah, I take that lesson from that experience, but I'm not going to hold on to it ever again because it's in the past and the past doesn't exist. And so many people are anxious for the future. And I was anxious for the future, and I was constantly thinking about, oh, what am I going to do after this? Like, oh, I need to pull up my phone and check my text messages. Oh, I want to play video games. Or I was constantly putting myself in a place that wasn't right here and right now and fully present in the only moment that exists. And so I started just going through all these self-reflections and going through my thoughts, processing them and letting go. And as they would go, they were gone and they would never come up again. And I would reveal so many things about myself that I never ever would have thought of in conscious day, like activities. Like it's when you sit in silence, your subconscious mind brings things up to you, and you are able to process it and see things from a broader perspective than if you were to just be in regular day in life. So I would go through a lot of letting go meditation. And then after months of doing that, I started to practice on letting go of my body, my vessel. And what I would do is I would start with like my feet, and I'd be like, okay, feet, after a long day of work, you've been carrying me all day long. I thank you so much for taking me where I needed to go. But right now, all I need for you to do is just relax. And as I would tell it to relax, my body parts would relax a whole nother level. Like you would think that you're relaxed after the breathing, the deep breathing. But when you consciously tell your body parts to relax, it just goes. And then all of a sudden you kind of don't feel yourself in your body anymore. And you start to just work your way up your body. You're going through all those. And when you're doing that, you're consciously doing that. You're actually not thinking, because you're putting your mind into the whole process of releasing your body to just be alive in the moment and just feel what the present actually feels like, to be fully, truly in the now without anything you have to do, no responsibilities, no attachments, and just being in infinity. And so also what I would do is I would do a chant, and the chant would go, it's like, Nam And as I would do that, it's like 3 times louder, and it lasts for like a minute. But when I would do that, I'd feel my body charge up, and it would literally lift up. And then as soon as I would stop the chant, I would sink down even lower and relax even deeper than I was, even after I had systematically told every single part of my body to relax. There was like 3 different levels of relaxation that I was able to take my body. And it's funny because people have corrected me so many times on that chant. And the whole thing about it is that I've achieved what I've achieved through saying it how I said it. So I don't believe that there's a right or wrong way to do anything. There's just what feels right within yourself, what your heart is truly wanting, and what you're putting out into the universe. And you're going to end up pulling it back into yourself. And so I would do that chant, I'd do that breathing, and then also I'd be sitting in the dark. And in that day, I was sitting on my chair in my living room, and I'd also close my eyes. And I'd cross my eyes, and I'd look up with my eyes crossed and closed. So like it would be like that, and then I focus up, and then you'll feel pressure right on the center of your forehead. And I would just focus on that blackness. I would look at what I'm looking at, and when you're looking at the black, it's to look inside that blackness and see what's actually in that blackness. And so I would do that. And then I also would listen to the sound of silence. So when you sit in silence, there's never like a real true silence. There's like, I noticed that when I would totally quiet everything, I noticed that on my right ear, I would hear this, and then on my left ear, I would hear this, and so I was hearing different frequencies in both my right and left side. And so I would focus on relaxing my body. I'd be looking up, and also I would create a solid current of breath. And there's many different ways that you can relax your body through deep breathing. You know, you can breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, or in through your mouth and out through your nose, or in through your nose, out through your nose. There's, again, people that are like, oh, that's not the right way to breathe. Oh, you can only breathe this way. It's like, the whole goal is to relax yourself. And however you need to do that in order to relax is what you need to do. And so I would constantly be breathing, and after a while of breathing, you're able to create like a solid current. And so when you're actually holding your jaw shut in meditation, you're actually holding your face, and so you can never fully truly let go of the body because you're holding your mouth shut like that. Sorry, my ear's plugged. I don't know what's going on. And so yeah, pause.